Hi, my name is Wade Pryor, and this is my presentation for evidence-based teaching. My project is called Reducing Math Anxiety through Collaborative Modelling Tasks and is based on my Year 10 Pre-Methods class at Whittlesea Secondary College. I've been exploring how structured collaboration can reduce math anxiety and build student confidence in learning. This project examines how collaborative mathematical modelling tasks can reduce math anxiety and increase student confidence in Mixed Ability Year 10 Pre-Methods class. The key issue I wanted to address was high math anxiety and low confidence. Many of my students avoided participation or hesitated to share answers even when they understood the concept. To target that, I used flexible think pair share strategies and mathematical modeling tasks designed to encourage communication and shared problem solving. My research question asked, in what ways does mixed ability grouping, supported by structured collaboration strategies, impact student engagement, math anxiety, and skill development? My school, Whittlesea Secondary College, has an ICSEA of 963, which places it around the 30th percentile nationally. This particular class had 23 students with a wide range of abilities. We have PAT scores from 137 to 160, so confidence levels varied a lot. In a baseline survey, only 20% felt relaxed, 30% felt confident, and 60% said they were nervous during tests. About half worried they wouldn't understand the lesson. Discussions with my mentor led us to believe that that group would benefit from strategies that made maths feel safer and more collaborative. The goal was to improve not only student confidence, but also their persistence in problem solving, helping them stay engaged even when the task felt challenging. The research really supports this kind of approach. Vygotsky talks about learning as a social process. We build understanding through interaction and shared reasoning. Johnson & Johnson's research on cooperative learning shows that structured collaboration reduces anxiety and increases engagement. And Bowler highlights that mixed ability groups promote confidence and equity when managed with positive norms. Santos and others found that mathematical modeling can reduce math anxiety by connecting learning to real-world contexts. And also this aligns directly with Victorian Curriculum 2.0, which now places a strong emphasis on mathematical modeling and problem solving, encouraging collaboration, reasoning, and communication as key proficiencies. These ideas collectively shaped the pedagogical foundation for this project, exploring how collaborative, modeling-based approaches could improve confidence and engagement in mathematics. Initially, my plan was to use fixed mixed ability groups throughout the term based on the cooperative learning research I'd reviewed. However, as the term progressed, I found that classroom dynamics with new enrollments, absences, and changing group chemistry made this difficult to sustain. After discussions with a mentor, I adapted the pedagogy to focus on short duration collaborative routines like think, pair, share, and small mathematical modeling tasks. These structures promoted communication and reasoning, but were more flexible and responsive to shifting needs of the class. This shift kept the intent of collaborative learning, but made it practical within a real classroom, adaptive, inclusive, and aligned with the department's emphasis on mathematical modeling. The project used a mixed methods approach. I collected pre, mid, and post surveys to track changes in confidence and anxiety. Each week, I gathered short exit slips to capture student reflections. I kept a fortnightly observation journal with my mentor, and we discussed patterns in engagement. Quantitative data came from PAT results and IXL usage. All data collection was directly aligned to the research question, focusing on changes in confidence, engagement, and persistence. Data was collected anonymously with student consent and mentor oversight, following ethical expectations for classroom-based inquiry. Altogether, this gave me a mix of emotional and academic indicators of progress. The timeline shows the project flow. It started in term two with baseline data, followed by implementation towards the end of term three. Mid-surveys and reflections helped me adjust strategies, for example, introducing shorter group tasks when students lost focus. And in term four, I consolidated the collaborative routines, ran post-surveys, and collected PAT and IXL data for comparison. The process took about 2 terms in total, allowing me to see early trends, even though the timeline was fairly short. Here you can see the survey results. The number of students who felt confident in maths increased from 30 to 39%, and those who said they felt relaxed in class rose from 20 to 35%. At the same time, the percentage of students who were nervous during tests dropped from 60 to 48%, and those who said they were worried about understanding the lesson went from 50 down to 38. One statement really stood out to me. I feel uncomfortable when asked to explain my math thinking in class. At the start, 25% of students disagreed with this statement, meaning most still felt uneasy. But by the end of the project, that had risen to 45%, showing that nearly half the class were beginning to feel more comfortable explaining their ideas aloud. These aren't dramatic shifts, but they're meaningful. Students were starting to take small risks, share their thinking, and feel safer being wrong. The exit slips really highlighted the shift in attitude as well. So students talked about feeling more confident when working in pairs, and that sharing ideas helped them understand concepts better. Several mentioned that it was less scary to make a mistake when someone else was working alongside them. Of course, a few still said they preferred working alone, but overall, peer discussion seemed to normalize mistakes and build a sense of safety. You can also see this reflected in the word cloud. Words like confident, sharing, and helpful appeared frequently, while negative words like anxious or confused showed up much less often. So this really confirmed for me that confidence isn't about removing the challenge. It's built through support, conversation, and hearing how others think. From my own and mentors' observations, I saw a clear increase in student-to-student talk during class. More students were sharing solutions and comparing methods, and there was a noticeable reduction in off-task behavior during the collaborative tasks. My mentor also mentioned that overall classroom atmosphere felt calmer and more productive during pair work, with students more willing to ask questions and take small risks. However, confidence during individual assessments remained inconsistent, so while group confidence improved, independent confidence still needs work, and that's a focus for next time. When looking at academic indicators, we can see overall growth of about 4.1 points across the class between semester 1 and semester 2 on the PAT scale. But digging a little deeper, the bottom half of students whose initial scores were between 136 and 147 showed the most improvement, with an average growth of 5.8 points. Meanwhile, the higher performing students starting between 148 and 158, they grew by around 2.2 points on average. So this suggests that the collaborative approach particularly helped those who were initially less confident or below average, possibly because they were more engaged in peer discussions and shared reasoning. You can see in the chart that the whole distribution shifted upward, but the biggest lift came from the lower quartile group. A smaller number of high achieving students showed limited or even negative growth. These outliers may reflect assessment fatigue or reduced challenge, and they highlight that future iterations will need stronger extension activities or strategies. The IXL data supports the trend too. So students went from completing around 14 tasks per week to 19, showing increased persistence and willingness to practice independently. This analysis aligns with the mixed methods approach, combining numerical data with qualitative insights from exit slips. Looking across all of the data, there's a consistent story. Students felt safer participating, particularly those who were less confident to begin with. The survey and exit slip data showed improving comfort levels, and the PAT data backed that up. The biggest growth came from students in the lower half of the cohort. This tells me collaboration and structured discussion benefit those who previously struggled the most. The IXL growth shows that they were also taking that confidence into independent practice. So while overall shifts were modest, the direction was clearly positive, especially for students who started out the most anxious. These findings also align with research from Bowler and Bratton, who both emphasize that emotional safety is key to mathematical confidence. Of course, this was a small scale classroom project with, just over 2 terms, so the findings can't be generalized. However, the trends were clear and consistent across multiple data sources, giving confidence in the direction of impact. The biggest learning for me was just how powerful small, consistent routines can be. Things like think, pair, share, and short modeling tasks had a visible impact on classroom culture. Students started to back each other up and take small risks. The data suggests that structured collaboration rather than open-end group work made students feel safer and more competent. The biggest gains in confidence corresponded with the introduction of shorter, more frequent collaborative tasks. It also reinforced that flexibility is essential. Even when plans changed, keeping the focus on safety and connection made all of the difference. The shifts in confidence were subtle, but they were real, and they've changed the way I think about building engagement in maths. The project only ran over 2 terms, so longer term effects aren't yet measured, but early indicators are promising. Overall, the project showed that collaborative modeling tasks can meaningfully reduce math anxiety and improve participation, particularly for less confident learners. Moving forward, I've identified 4 main next steps. First, I'll continue embedding collaborative structures like Think, Pair, Share as a regular part of a maths lesson. Second, I want to share these strategies with colleagues to see how that might help them reduce math anxiety across the school. And third, I plan to collect more longitudinal data next year to measure sustained impact. And finally, I'll develop extensions for higher achieving students to make sure collaboration still challenges everyone. These are the main studies that informed my project: Vygotsky, Johnson and Johnson, Bowler, Santos, so on and so forth. They've really helped me frame collaboration not just as a teaching strategy, but as a way to address the emotional barriers that stop students from engaging in the maths. I'm still early in my teaching career, but this project has really changed how I approach student confidence. It's made me realize that the emotional climate matters just as much as the context. Thank you.